Up the 1943 Lincoln penny, specifically the one with a D mint mark and, believe it or not, in dirty condition. Now, you might be wondering, why would a penny in such poor condition be worth anything? Well, there's a good reason, and we're diving into it today. Let's start with some quick history. The 1943 Lincoln penny is famous because it was minted during World War II, when the US government switched from copper to steel to conserve resources for the war effort. So while most pennies from the 1940s are copper, the 1943 penny is made of steel with a zinc coating. But here's the kicker. Not every 1943 penny was made in steel. Some rare copper 1943 pennies were accidentally struck during this transition, and those are the ones that get huge attention. But today we're focusing on the steel version, minted in Denver, the 1943D. Now you might be thinking, this penny looks dirty and worn out, how can it be worth anything? Well, the truth is, even a penny in rough shape can still have value, especially when it comes to a 1942/50 PA. In today's market, a typical 1943D penny in average circulated condition, which is what we're looking at here, is worth around 20 cents to 30 cents, just slightly above face value. But, and here's the important part, even a coin in dirty or worn condition can see a significant bump in value depending on other factors, such as rarity, collector demand, and its overall historical significance. If you were to clean it up a bit, or if it's in better shape than this one, the value could increase substantially. For example, a well-preserved 1943D penny could fetch anywhere from $1 to $3 or more, depending on its grade. For higher graded coins, and if you're lucky enough to find a near-mint example, prices can climb even higher. We're talking $10 to $20 for mid-grade coins, and if it's graded as MS65 or higher, the price can easily exceed $100. So, what about a penny like this, in dirty condition? The key point here is that even low-grade examples can still be valuable in certain contexts. Coins like these are valuable because of their historical significance, and who knows, if you come across one of these in your change jar, you might just have a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Before you go digging through your coin collection, make sure you know how to spot the mint mark and confirm it's a 1943D. The D mint mark is located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. It's important to note that a clean 1943D penny could fetch much more than one that's heavily tarnished or corroded. To sum it up, even a dirty, worn 1943D penny can have value. If you're lucky enough to find one, it could be worth anywhere from 20 cents to a few dollars. But if it's in better shape, you might be looking at a nice little profit. Always remember to check your pocket change. You never know what hidden gems are out there. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln steel penny, and specifically the one with no mint mark. What's it worth today, in normal condition? Now, if you're a coin collector, you've probably heard of the 1943 penny, but there's a catch with this one. It's made of steel, not the usual copper. Why? Well, during World War II, the US government needed copper for the war effort, so they switched to a steel planchet for 1 year only. But here's the twist. While you may find some pennies with a mint mark, today we're focusing on the ones with no mint mark. So why does the 1943 penny with no mint mark stand out? Well, in 1943, coins were minted at 3 different US mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver and San Francisco mint marks are usually stamped onto pennies, but the ones produced at the Philadelphia mint didn't have a mint mark at all. The 1943 penny without a mint mark is often referred to as the Philadelphia issue. Most of these coins were made in the millions, but due to their historical significance and scarcity of high-quality examples, these steel pennies still have some value, even in normal, circulated condition. Now, what is this coin worth today in normal condition? Well, here's the thing. A typical 1943 steel penny in average circulated condition can fetch anywhere from 15 cents to 50 cents. That's a small premium over its face value, but not huge, especially for a coin that's nearly 80 years old. However, if the coin is in better than average condition, say with minimal wear and still showing clear details, the value could increase to around $1 to $3. That's because, while the 1943 steel penny without a mint mark is not super rare, collectors still appreciate finding one that's well preserved. For coins in higher grade condition, like those graded MS63 or better, you could be looking at values of $10 to $30. In fact, if you're lucky enough to find a nearly perfect one, it might be worth even more. Coins that have been professionally graded and given a higher quality rating could even fetch upwards of $50 to $100, but keep in mind, finding a high-grade 1943 steel penny without a mint mark is quite rare. So, what should you look for when you're checking your 1943 steel pennies? First, check for wear around the Lincoln portrait and the date. If the coin is heavily worn or corroded, it will likely only be worth a small amount, like the 15 cents to 50 cents range. Also, be on the lookout for any rust or discoloration, since the steel composition of the coin can rust over time. While some collectors might still be interested in a rusty one for historical reasons, rust can significantly reduce the value. If you happen to come across a 1943 steel penny in your collection, it's definitely worth holding onto. Even in normal, worn condition, it's a piece of history, and who knows, with some luck, you might have a higher quality one that could be worth a bit more. To wrap it up, the 1943 steel penny without a mint mark, in normal circulated condition, is worth around 15 cents to 50 cents. But if you've got a cleaner, better preserved example, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $3, and in excellent condition, even more. So be sure to check your change and your coin collection, as these little historical gems can sometimes surprise you. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln steel penny with the S mint mark. You might be surprised to learn that even in good condition, this penny can be worth quite a bit more than you might think. So let's dive in. Before we talk about value, let's quickly recap the history of the 1943 steel penny. During World War II, the US government switched from copper to steel for pennies to save copper for wartime production. Most 1943 pennies were made of steel, but depending on the mint location, they were struck with different mint marks: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1943 penny was minted at the San Francisco Mint, and it's often seen as one of the more desirable of the 1943 steel pennies. While the Philadelphia minting didn't use a mint mark, and the Denver coins have the D, the San Francisco coins have the distinct S mint mark, making them stand out for collectors. Now let's talk about value. You might think, it's just a steel penny, so how much could it really be worth? But the 1943 penny is a little different, especially when it's in good condition. In today's market, the value of a 1943 steel penny in good condition can range from $1.50 to $3. That's because the San Francisco minted coins were produced in lower quantities compared to the Philadelphia coins, and in good condition they're considered slightly rarer than their counterparts. Let's clarify what good condition means. For a coin to be in good condition, you're looking for clear details but visible wear. On the 1943 steel penny, you should still be able to make out most of the key elements, like Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the S mint mark, even though the coin might have some wear or discoloration. Even in good condition, this 1943 penny is a collector's item. If the coin has minimal rust or stains, it could reduce its value a little, but it still holds more worth than a regular circulated 1943 steel penny from Philadelphia. Of course, the value increases if the coin is in better condition. For example, if you come across a 1943 SC steel penny in fine condition or higher, it could fetch anywhere from $5 to $20 or even more. And if the coin is graded MS63 or higher, meaning it has almost no wear and great details, it could be worth anywhere from $30 to $50, and in mint condition, a 1943 SS steel penny could be worth $100 or more. So, how do you know if your 1943 penny is a genuine 1943 S? The mint mark is right under the date, and it should be a clear S. Be careful of counterfeits, especially if the coin seems too shiny or perfect for its age. They can sometimes be plated or altered to look more valuable. Whether it's a find from your pocket change or something you've inherited, a 1943 WST steel penny is definitely worth keeping safe and checking for condition. In fact, even a worn-out example is a cool piece of history and holds a special place in coin collectors' hearts. So, to sum it up, if you find a 1943 steel penny with the SS mint mark in good condition, it could be worth anywhere from $1.50 to $3. But if it's in better shape, it can easily fetch $10, $20, or even more. And high-grade versions can be worth $50 or beyond. The 1991 Washington quarter is part of the Standard series, but here's the twist. It's silver. That's right, this quarter has a unique place in US coinage because it was minted with a special silver composition for certain collectors' sets during the early 1990s. So, why is this coin special, and what's it worth today? First things first. While most quarters today are made of a copper-nickel alloy, the 1991 silver quarter was part of the US Mint's 90% silver offerings, mostly available in proof sets. It's not the regular circulation quarter, and this silver content makes it more valuable right off the bat. But the true value of this coin also depends on its condition. Now, let's talk about what extra fine means. If a coin is in extra fine condition, it means it shows signs of wear, but still has sharp details. The image of Washington will be clear, with minimal wear on the hair and the details of his coat. The reverse side will also show crisp lettering and design, though you may see some slight smoothing on high points due to circulation. So what's the value of a 1991 Washington silver quarter in extra fine condition today? In the current market, a coin like this could be worth around $5 to $8. Now, I know that might sound surprising considering it's silver, but the value also depends on factors like collector demand, and the fact that this coin wasn't produced in large quantities for circulation. The 1991 Washington silver quarter is often sold at a premium over its face value because of its silver content, but in extra fine condition, it doesn't usually break the bank. Still, it's worth far more than a standard quarter, which is usually worth just 25 cents. If you happen to have one in mint condition, its value can climb higher. Now, if this coin were to be in proof condition, or even uncirculated, its value could go up significant, upwards of $15, $20 or more. But if your coin is just in extra fine condition, don't worry, any still holds value because of that silver content and the fact it's part of a limited mintage. Remember, the grading of the coin can play a huge role in its final value. If you ever get your 1991 silver quarter graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, it might push the price even higher, depending on the grade. So, if you're holding onto a 1991 Washington silver quarter in extra fine condition, you've got a coin that's definitely worth more than face value. Whether you're holding onto it as part of a collection or thinking of selling, it's a good idea to keep an eye on the market for any changes in demand. Next up, the 1982 Washington silver quarter with a D mint mark, but with a black color shade condition. This one's a bit unique, so let's dive right into its value and why it might be more valuable than you think. The 1982 Washington quarter is part of the regular series of quarters minted by the US Mint, but what makes this one stand out is its silver content. The 1982 quarter is part of the bicentennial series, and while most regular issue quarters were minted with a copper-nickel composition, this silver version was produced specifically for proof sets. So yes, it has 90% silver in it, which is part of the reason why this coin holds more value than a standard quarter. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Black color shade condition. What exactly does that mean? A quarter with a black color shade might have developed discoloration due to tarnishing or environmental factors, and it could have a unique appearance, like a darkened surface or toning. While this might sound like a coin in poor condition, that's not always the case. Blackened or toned coins, particularly silver ones, can sometimes carry a unique value due to their aesthetic appeal. Collectors who specialize in toned coins sometimes seek out these oddly colored coins for their interesting and rare looks. The black color shade, in many cases, doesn't necessarily detract from the coin's value, but it depends on how much of the design is still visible and how much time is developed. So, what's the value of a 1982 Washington silver quarter with a D mint mark and a black color shade in today's market? In general, the coin is valued primarily for its silver content. At current silver prices, a 1982 silver quarter is worth around $3 to $5 based on the metal itself. However, if the black color shade is noticeable but not too severe, the coin might attract collectors who are into toned or unique coins. This could potentially bump up the value to $7 to $10 or more, especially if the toning adds to the coin's character and doesn't obscure too much of the design. However, it's important to note that in extreme cases, if the tarnishing is too heavy and the coin is in poor condition, the value may drop closer to the base silver price, or even lower if collectors aren't interested in the look of the coin. If the coin were in better condition, and say, uncirculated, or with a more natural patina, it could fetch significantly more, anywhere from $20 to $40 if it's in a professional grade condition. But when the coin has a distinctive black shade due to tarnish, it might appeal more to collectors who enjoy the aesthetic of toned silver coins. So, let's break it down. A 1982 Washington silver quarter with a D mint mark in black collar shade condition typically has a value in the range of $3 to $10, depending on how the toning affects the design and how much collectors are willing to pay for that unique look. It's definitely more valuable than a regular quarter, but the coin's condition, toning, and overall appearance will play a big role in determining its exact worth. And if you're thinking about selling or trading your black-toned 1982 quarter, it might be worth getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A proper grade can increase the coin's value, and the right buyer may be willing to pay more for it based on its unique appearance and grade. Next up, the 1998 Washington silver quarter with a P mint mark in extra fine condition. Use. Is it valuable in today's market? Let's dive into the details and find out. The 1998 Washington quarter is part of the regular circulating series, but the one we're focusing on today is a silver version, minted with 90% silver content, which makes it more valuable than a standard quarter. But here's the key question. What makes this coin particularly special, and how does its condition impact its value? First, a quick refresher. Most quarters you see today are made from a copper-nickel alloy, but special silver quarters were issued in 1998 as part of the U.S. Mint's 90% silver coin offerings for proof sets. These silver quarters aren't just any quarters. They're a bit rarer than regular circulation coins, and that's where their value comes into play. This 1998 quarter has a P mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. While many coins from this year were minted in Philadelphia, the silver version is still relatively uncommon, especially in extra fine condition. Now, let's talk about what extra fine condition means. When a coin is classified as extra fine, it shows light signs of wear, but its features are still very clear and sharp. The design of George Washington on the obverse is still well defined with minimal smoothing, and the reverse, the eagle, and the inscription still shows crisp details with only slight wear on the highest points. With a coin in extra fine condition, collectors expect the coin to have nice luster and to retain most of the original details, although it may show light scratches or minor wear, which is typical for coins that have been handled. So, what is the value of a 1998 Washington silver quarter with a PU mint mark in extra fine condition today? In the current market, a coin like this typically ranges from $3 to $5, primarily due to its silver content. That's a pretty solid jump over the coin's face value of 25 cents, right? Since it's made of 90% silver, the melt value alone gives it a base price of around $3 to $4, depending on the current silver market price. But the extra fine condition means this quarter can fetch a bit more than just the silver price. Of course, if silver prices rise, so does the value of the coin. But, like I said, the coin's condition will also impact its value. If it were in mint state or uncirculated condition, it could be worth more, possibly $8 to $10 or even higher. A 1998 silver quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition might fetch upwards of $10 or more, depending on the demand and current market trends. But extra fine? Still valuable, just not at the high end of the scale. Even though it's a relatively modern coin, the 1998 Washington silver quarter with a P mint mark is a great find for any collector, especially if it's in extra fine condition. The combination of silver content and its unique mintage makes it a nice addition to any collection. If you have one of these coins in extra fine condition, you might want to consider getting it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A higher grade can significantly boost the value, especially if you have a well-preserved example of this silver quarter. So, there you have it, the 1998 Washington silver quarter with the P mint mark in extra fine condition. It may not be worth hundreds of dollars, but it's still a valuable coin, especially with the silver content and its relatively rare status. If you have one of these in your collection, you're definitely holding on to a piece of USA's coin history. The 1996 Washington quarter is part of the Standard series that was issued from 1932 to 1998, featuring George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. But what sets this one apart is the D mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, when it comes to value, one crucial factor is the composition. The 1996 quarter you're looking at is made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning it doesn't contain silver, unlike earlier quarters. So, this coin isn't one of the rare silver versions that were minted before 1965. However, the value of this quarter still depends on its condition and collective interest. In terms of value, a typical 1996 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in good condition will generally be worth around 25 cents to 50 cents. That's because the coin is still in circulation and not particularly rare. But wait, if your coin is in better condition, say uncirculated or graded as MS63 or higher, its value can rise to around $1 to $3 or even more, depending on demand in the market. Now, while the regular 1996 D mint mark quarters aren't super valuable, keep in mind that there are some rare, high-grade or error coins that can fetch more. For instance, if you find one with a noticeable minting error, like a double die or misstruck coin, it could be worth significantly more. Always be on the lookout for those unique anomalies. If you have a 1996 quarter and want to know how much it's really worth, it's important to assess the condition carefully. Check for signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. Coins that are in good condition may only fetch face value, while those in uncirculated condition, or better, will be worth more. A professional coin grading service can help you get an accurate value if you're unsure. Next up, the 1978 Washington quarter without a mint mark. And if yours is in extra fine condition, you might be in for a surprise when it comes to its value in today's market. Let's get into it. So let's start by understanding the 1978 Washington quarter itself. This coin features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The 1978 quarter was produced in both Philadelphia and Denver mints, but since we're talking about the one without a mint mark, this means it was struck at the Philadelphia mint. Here's an important note for collectors. The 1978 Washington quarter is made from the standard copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning it does not contain silver. Silver quarters were discontinued in 1965, so this coin is primarily valued based on its condition and rarity rather than its metal content. So what's the 1978 Washington quarter without a mint mark worth in today's market, especially in extra fine condition? Generally speaking, an extra fine 1978 quarter could be valued anywhere between $3 to $6. The extra fine grade means the coin shows slight wear, but most of its details, like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, are still sharp and well-defined. The value of any coin is highly dependent on its condition. A quarter in extra fine condition means it has light wear, but retains its overall appearance and appeal. However, if the coin is graded as United, meaning MS60 or higher, uncirculated, the value could increase to $10 or more, depending on market demand. Conversely, if your coin has noticeable wear, scratches, or discoloration, it will likely stay closer to its face value of 25 cents. If you're wondering whether your 1978 quarter qualifies as extra fine, here are a few things to look for. The coin should have only slight wear on high points, like Washington's hair and the eagle's wings, but still show all the major details. If you're unsure about the condition, a professional grading service like the NGC or PCGS can help determine the exact grade. While the 1978 Washington quarter in extra fine condition isn't rare by itself, you might be able to find some valuable variations. For example, certain minting errors like off-center strikes or die cracks can make your coin worth significantly more. Always keep an eye out for these unusual characteristics. So, to sum it up, if you have a 1978 Washington quarter without a mint mark in extra fine condition, expect to see it valued anywhere from $3 to $6, depending on its precise condition. If you think your coin is in especially good shape, consider having it graded, as it could be worth even more. Next up, the 1980 Washington silver quarter with a D mint mark. Is it valuable in today's market? First, let's start with the basics. The 1980 Washington quarter was minted by the US Mint in both Philadelphia and Denver. But did you know that most of these quarters were not made from silver? That's right. Most of the 1980 quarters are composed of a copper-nickel blend with no silver content at all. These are the standard quarters you'll find in circulation today. However, there's a catch when it comes to the value of certain quarters from this year. Some Washington quarters from 1980, especially those with a D mint mark from the Denver Mint, have unique characteristics that can make them more valuable. But what about the silver content? Now, the key to understanding the potential value of the 1980 Washington quarter comes down to condition. Most circulated 1980 quarters with a D mint mark are worth just a few quarters worth of change, as they contain no silver. But if you happen to come across a 1980 Washington quarter in very good condition, it's a different story. Coins in this grade are generally defined as having clear details but showing some wear. For these quarters, the value could be higher than you might expect. In today's market, a 1980 Washington quarter with a D mint mark in very good condition is generally worth around 25 to 50 cents, just slightly above face value. But the condition is key. If you find one in better shape, such as fine or extra fine grades, the value could rise to $1 or more. In terms of collector demand, there isn't a huge premium for the 1980 quarters from Denver unless you're looking for a coin in mint state or if the coin has any unique characteristics, such as errors or minting issues. So, if you've got a 1980 Washington quarter with a D mint mark in your collection, don't expect a huge windfall, unless, of course, it's in exceptional condition or has a unique error. But it's always a good idea to hang on to it, as coin values can fluctuate over time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more CoinFlip Lathan content. See you and next time. Happy collecting!